Okie dokie. Hope y'all are doing good. We're in the middle of the week. We only have a couple more days till Friday. We're coming up on the holidays already, as freaky as that is. uh, so we've been talking about integration and embodiment and the ways that we can facilitate that. And part of it is to understand the components and the consequences of what happens when we don't engage in the certain things. So like integration doesn't need our permission to happen. Integration happens whenever it's ready, whenever it's time, it's going to happen. Whether we've prepared ourselves or not, sometimes that integration will occur whenever it deems itself necessary, right? The embodiment aspect of it, however, though, does not just happen without our will. This is where the free will comes in. This is where we have to choose. This is the part where we have to say yes to the integration, right? And that's the embodiment. We're saying yes to the integration of knowledge and understanding that has really permeated into my being. I really get it. I fully understand it. Not just like reading some books on a page that I'm then spewing out or regurgitating that, you know, I'm saying that's an embodiment because I'm speaking it. No, that's not embodiment. Embodiment is the actions, the supported choices and actions that we take from the knowledge of our own being, the truth that exists within us. And the truth is reminiscent of the integration, the things that have really permeated into us. We know fully within our own being, yes, this is mine. Yes, I get it. Aha, yes, I fully understand that thing, and now I'm going to live a life that embodies that truth, that proves that I truly understand and fully get that thing that is meant for me to embody, right? And when I'm not living in my embodiment, when I'm knowing the truth and I'm choosing not to engage in the thing, then that is when regret really sinks in, right? And so this is, regret is one of those things that we often think of as like a punishment or a consequence for not being in our embodiment. And I don't think we necessarily consider it that way of like thinking, oh, it's because I wasn't embodying my truth. We just recognize that we weren't in alignment with what felt right at the time, right? And I was reading a quote the other day and it said, I don't regret the things I've done. I regret the things I didn't do when I had the chance. And that is basically what regret is. And regret isn't a punishment for not doing the things that we were supposed to do at the time. Regret is a teacher, right? Just like so many of the things that we perceive to be negative consequences, we perceive those things to be negative. They're not negative, they're teachers. They're there to show us where things didn't line up. Where was I not in alignment with the truth of my being? So I can go back and I can reflect on that regret, that consequence that I experienced from not being in my full embodiment, from not saying yes to the truth of my own being. And I can say, okay, what motivated me to refuse to listen to my truth? Was it fear? Fear of being the thing? Was I afraid that if I stepped into the embodiment that people were going to judge me or accuse me of certain things? You know, was it because I was still motivated by old patterns and thoughts, old stories? Like, oh, I still have to be in competition with everybody else because that's just the way the world works, even though fundamentally within my being, I know that competition is only enforcing the idea that there's lack. What is causing me? What is at the root of me not being in my embodiment? Because this is the choice. And this is where we have to be really careful and really aware of what those things look like. So regret is birthed from the refusal to act on our truth. That's all it is. And the consequences of the regret are not punishment. We have to understand that when we think that we're being punished for making the wrong decision, then we think that the world is out to get us in a way, right? I'm going to be punished because I didn't make the right choice. There's always this person there that's wanting to punish me and tell me I did the wrong thing. It's not about that. We don't want to take it personally. It's truly only a tool. It's a gauge, just like everything else that we've talked about like that. It's a gauge that shows me the arrow of which my compass is pointing. Once I know what direction the compass is pointing, I can pick it apart a little bit easier. I can dismantle those things. And we talked about how, the mind can really kind of go crazy, like picking apart situations, like old things that hurt us, and we'll pick them apart and tell the, because we have that need to understand or have closure. This is where that part of the mind is really a helpful thing. We don't want to pick it apart so that it hurts us and wounds us, but we're dismantling. We are going through the mental process of peeling away the layers so that we can discover what was at the root of it. Because then once we know what's at the root, we can make a different choice in the future, right? Then we fully learned from that experience. It was the teacher. It gave us the gift that was meant to be in that situation for us. Otherwise, the regret's just regret. And then you're suffering, right? So to remove the suffering from that feeling of regret or the consequence of regret, I allow it to be the teacher. When I allow it to be the teacher, then I can grow and expand from it. I can make new choices in the future that are reflective of the knowledge that I uncovered from that teacher. So this is where I get to use that part of me that wants to pick things apart. I'm like, okay, what caused this? What's at the root of that? Let's peel away the layers. Was it fear? What's that fear motivated by? Was there an old wound underneath there? What does that wound look like? Why am I still allowing that wound to be the directive that paves my path for me? And then we can start doing that work. That's the uncovering. That's the peeling apart and the unbecoming and all of that stuff. That is cool. That is helpful. That is me using the teacher and getting the knowledge and learning the lesson and then embodying that truth that I uncovered from that experience, right? So why would we experience the sting of regret or the consequences then if it's just a teacher? Because frankly, we're kind of dense sometimes. I know I am. Sometimes things have to sting a little bit for me to pay attention to it. If it was a neutral experience, then I'm not likely to look at it very close. I'm not likely to peel away the layers. I'm not likely to get the lesson from it that is meant for me to have from within that space. It's a reminder for me to stay embodied. It's a reminder for me to make choices that are always in alignment with this. It's a reminder. That's all it is. It's a teacher. It's a reminder. It's the lessons that I've gleaned from that I can take into my current moment. And if you think about it, when you're on your deathbed, if you get the chance to do that, if you are honored with the gift of being able to know when it's time and have the opportunity to reflect and to be present that way, or just as we get older, we do a lot more reflection. I've noticed that even in my own life. What are the things that are going to matter to you the most, though? What are the things that matter the very, very, very most to you? Most likely it's our family, it's our relationships, the memories that we make. That's the stuff we get to take with us, right? The love that we build within our own being, the memories that we create that stay with us, those memories, those indelible memories, the ones that are like burned into your mind's eye, you could go back to those memories time and time again and feel the distinct feelings, see the things, smell the smells, fully immersed in the experience when that memory comes up for you, right? That's the stuff that we want to take with us. How many of the memories that you have that are the very most important to you are not necessarily like the big days, like the birthing of the babies, the weddings and stuff like that? They're big, right? Those are still big, but the biggest ones often are the things that we never expected. The memories that happened so randomly just by being in agreement to my life experience. Because I said yes to this thing that I didn't necessarily expect to hold within it what it had. And that's the treasure hunting. That's the experience of looking for the stuff that you would never expect to find in the places that you're going to find it. How many of those memories are just the most random moments but because you were present, because you were engaged, and because you said yes to this experience, to this opportunity, to this thing, this whole experience unfolded for you that has become an indelible part of your being, that part of you that, well, I'm getting a little emotional, goes with you forever. And when we say no to our truth, when we don't embody the integration, the truth, the knowledge that we hold within our own being, we say no to all of those kinds of magical experiences that are cocooned in all of these little treasure holes throughout our life, all because we're standing in our fear. We're so tightly gripped onto our fear, or all because we're so hung up on an old ideal or thought pattern or a narrative that this is wrong, that is bad, but even though in my heart wants it so much, I'm going to continue to tell myself it's bad and not do it because, it's like when you were a kid, we can look back on our regrets now and the things that we regret, and we're like, why did I not do that thing? Why was I so afraid of it? Because, so-and-so told me that it was wrong to do this, or good girls don't kiss boys, or whatever it is. I didn't have my best first kiss experience with this kid that was amazing because I was so scared to kiss him because I thought it was wrong, or whatever the thing is, right? There's so many of those little stories that we have. And then let that be the teacher. Why was that wrong for me? Is that a wrong thing for me? Is that my truth, or is that something that I've adopted from my, social programming and experiences, all these people around me telling me how I should behave and how I should act. And this is where we have to learn to embrace the wilder aspects of our being. So many parts of us have been tamed, and we're going to go a little deeper into that the rest of this week, but we've been tamed to behave in a way that is appropriate, and in our taming process, in taming the wilder aspects of our being, those parts of ourselves that are fully in agreement to the yes that we have suppressed because we're so afraid of the wilder aspects of our being, because we can't control it. We don't know what's coming next. So we have no idea what to expect from that part of our being. So we're so afraid of it that we squish it down, right? So at the end of the day, what matters most to you? Are you living a life that is reflective of that? What's the stuff that means the very most to you? That's really what it boils down to. What matters? The memories, the people, the opportunities, fun. We can prioritize fun and happiness and joy and levity. Is that stuff important to me? Am I saying yes to the integration of that knowledge? Am I saying yes to the opportunities that present themselves to me in my life experience? Or am I saying no? And if I'm saying no, then why am I saying no? That fear is temporary, but the regret is not. So while I might be in fear, while those things might be afraid of me, I can push through my fear. I can come up against my fear every single day. Every single day, I can actively work to come up against my fear. But the regrets don't go away. Those teachers become a part of us. And I think that the reason that those don't just go away is because they're so important. That if we don't get the knowledge from that experience, the lesson from that teacher, then we're going to have a life full of the regrets, right? Those regrets are going to stack up. And the only way that we do those things of service is to not allow those things to continue to pave the path for me, is when I can learn to look at them and say, no more. I'm not going to choose the regrets anymore. I'm not going to choose to allow those things to stack up for me. I'm not going to refuse the embodiment of the truth of my being any longer. And we wonder why people have midlife crises, and it's not even midlife crisis anymore. People are having like midlife, like early life crisis, like in their 20s and 30s, because they've come so far away from who they really are, trying to fit into the social norm and trying to be this ideal of perfection and whatever, that they've come so far away from their truth, so far away from the needle of the compass, that they no longer know who they are, and they eventually come to this point where they can't handle it anymore. They can't handle the fact that the regrets are stacking up, that there's this fundamental wild aspect of their being that is seeking to be released from its cage. And this is a cage that, yeah, we're being presented with it. Everybody go get in your little cage. Everybody go be a good girl and boy. Go do your thing. And we're just saying, okay, sure, sounds great. Give me the key. I'll go get in my little cage and I'll tame those wilder aspects of my being so that I don't make you uncomfortable, so that I am not, a problem for you because you're no longer able to suppress me or control my behavior. We have to stop telling those aspects of our being that want to rise up. Wild isn't bad. We've been taught to believe that wild is bad. Untamed is bad, because it is not easy to control and suppress those individuals. So if you want to live a fuller life experience and you want to have exposure to all the little treasures that are, hidden away in different experiences for you, you're going to have to learn to embrace those wilder aspects of your being that are willing to take risks and have fun. Take chances, take risks, have fun. They can be calculated risks, right? I can calculate it. I can think about, okay, is this really truly in alignment with the truth of my being, or am I just being, running away with some nonsense here? And then I can come into that conclusion. No, this is a part of me. This is something that I have this one experience, this short time, and you know what? I'm going to do it up. I'm not just going to suffer through this experience with my head down, trudging through every day. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it in a way that makes me feel alive. I'm going to let that fire within me roar. I'm going to allow the wolf show my teeth. I'm going to come out in those wilder aspects of my being. I am not a sheep. We've only been convinced that we were. They put one sheep in a herd of wolf puppies and told us that we were all sheep. And we all started bleeding and whining, and none of us were actually able to then bare our teeth and step into those wilder aspects of our being and allow those parts of us that would snap somebody's fingers off for trying to force feed us the things that aren't in alignment with us. They tamed those parts of us. So now we have to come into alignment with the wild. We have to allow those things to come into our being so that we don't have those regrets. And it doesn't have to be big. I'm making a bigger deal out of it, but it's the little stuff. It's like what I was saying earlier. Maybe I didn't kiss the guy. Maybe I didn't, go on the trip with my girlfriend because my husband or boyfriend or whoever didn't like the idea that I was going out of town. Or, I hear so many stories about people's regrets. So there's so many things. It's that stuff. That's the real life stuff, right? But that's also the way that we tap into the interior wolf. That's the way that we release the taming. It's the small things every day, coming up against my fear, pressing against that space, not accepting the regrets stacking up for me, and saying that no, I'm going to choose to live. I'm going to choose to live my life. I am going to recognize that I have choices and I'm going to make them. And I am going to embody my truth, the integration of the knowledge of my own being as that occurs, as things move and shift, and that can change all the time. I decided to change my mind today. That thing that wasn't for me yesterday, it is today. This is my truth now. This is what I'm going to live from. This is the place that feels right for me. So just thinking about that today, thinking about your relationship with that stuff, thinking about what's the most important to you. If I'm living with that, the nostalgia, the memory, that's when I said yes. So not just thinking about the regrets. What's the yes? When was I in the yes that felt so amazing and magical, made those indelible, burned in experiences for me? What were the conditions of that part of my world? What fear was I coming up against when I said yes to that thing? What was the thing that was out of the norm for me that maybe I did differently that day or in that moment that opened up that opportunity for me? So, analyzing all of those experiences, not just the perceived negative, not just the regrets. Look at the nostalgia, the memories, and remembering that regret is when I didn't act. The fear is what probably was the motivating factor there, or the old narrative, and recognizing that and then choosing something different in the future. So just looking at those things today during our practice, being open to receive any information that may be in there for you. Perhaps you've been called to do something right now that you've been afraid of, or that you just haven't had the will to fully say yes to that particular thing for whatever reason. And just give yourself the opportunity today to kind of sink into that and feel into it and pick it apart. Look at what's motivating you to be in fear. Can I come up against this fear? Is this something I feel like I can challenge myself with this right now and seek the treasure that potentially exists within that space for me? So I'm really excited about this week because I do think it's a really life-changing one that helps us live from a much more joyful place and gives us the opportunity for more of those indelible moments that this is what we're here to do, man. That is it. It's having those experiences that makes it living for us, right? So I want y'all to have as many of those experiences as you possibly can until you transition into your next expression of being. I don't want you guys suffering and being challenged by what you consider to be the weight of the world. I want you to find your fierceness in that wild part of your being that comes up against all of that so that you can fully live, so that you have the guts to say yes to the things that are meant for you and to have the experiences that come with the yes, right? The nostalgia, the memory, the things that you're going to take with you that will always be a part of your heart, your soul space, okay? So let's just start by grounding into our easy seat. And just finding our breath, grounding those roots out from the bottom of our body, all of those points of contact from the body to the earth, feeling those roots growing out from that place. Anchoring us into this time and space. I am a part of this world. I am a part of this universe. This is my time and space. I am not here by accident. I did not come here to save the world. I can release the pressure of that expectation. I came here to be a part of this thing, to experience it, to grow, to shift, to unfold, to evolve. That's why I came here. Because some part of my spirit, that part of me that was existing before I was in this embodiment, said yes to that, to the growth, to the expansion, to the experiences, to the ability to create those indelible memories. And finding the breath, dropping the shoulders back and down, lengthening through the spine, nice, long, strong center line of the body. And just feeling your vibration radiating off of every part of the physical body. Feel into your own vibrational energy this morning in the safe space that is creating for you here on your mat. Nobody can ever take that away from you. They cannot shift your vibration. They cannot take your energy. You can only come into agreement with that. You can give your power away. You can shift your vibration to match another person's, but nobody else has the power over you to do that. That's yours. So feel that vibration radiating off of your being, feeling it pressing out into this universe as far as it wants to go. And just finding your breath. We're going to come into that oceanic breath, Pressing the tongue and the roof of the mouth, resting just behind the front teeth, creating some space in the back of the throat so that you can come into that audible oceanic breath, inhaling and exhaling through the nostrils. The cost of not following our heart is spending the rest of our life wishing we had. Hindsight's 2020, so sometimes we just have to be spontaneous. We just have to say yes. We just have to come up against our fear, tap into the wild, and allow ourselves to truly live. Where is my fear cheating me out of my life experiences? Where is my fear suppressing my ability to embody my truth? And just letting go through those roots, all of those things that are not in alignment, with the needle of the compass, the knowledge of the truth, the integration of the understanding. Let go of all of that stuff that is not in alignment, that prevents us from the embodiment. One more deep breath, inhaling through the nose. Exhale through the nose. And inhaling and gently allowing those eyes to flutter open so that we can come into that first posture, that first child's pose posture. So taking those props and whatever you need to come into that comfortable posture. Coming up on the knees and the hands. Pulling the props in towards the body. Releasing the hands in front of the knees. Come long through the spine on the inhalation. Exhale, walking the hands towards the top of your props and gently releasing one cheek down. And finding the breath. And just listening for the hum of that guttural part of your being, that wilder aspect of your being that seeks to be given life, that seeks to be given permission to express itself through the embodiment of your being. Feel that low hum, that guttural growl, growling in response to that suppression, growling in response to that control, effort to control. Not to be afraid of that growl, that guttural feeling from within, but to embrace it and to allow it to rise up. Remembering that you are allowed to live your truth. You are allowed to live authentically from the truth of your being. Remembering that life is meant to be experienced. So put yourself out there, do the things you've never done. Living that life where at the end you will have no regrets. Because you will have learned from the past experiences. What you once considered to be a regret now becomes a teacher. You allow that teacher to gift you with the lessons that it has for you, enabling you to enrich your life. Regrets are not imposed upon you. It is a choice. The consequences of the choices that I'm making, and the consequence is the teacher. The gift is the consequence. So that I no longer have to choose those limitations for myself in the future. Drawing the awareness back in the body just enough. Taking any gentle movements that you might need. Taking the breath a little bit deeper. And then pressing into the palms of the hands. Lengthening through the arms and walking them back towards the knees. This next posture, we're going to take either like a pillow for the underneath your hips, or your little blanket that you've rolled into a bolster, or a bolster if you have one handy. I know not all of you guys have bolsters at home. If you need a little pillow for the top of your head, you can do that too. But if you want to lay flat, we're going to be opening up through those hips a little bit. But we're also going to do an elevated leg. So when you turn around and your hips are up against your bolster, we're going to take your pillows down towards the legs too, right? So that when you lift your legs up, you have something to lift those legs up onto. So if you need to stack it up, make it as high or low as you want to, placing the legs up on top of those blankets and then releasing the spine down into the earth. Take that little pillow up, adjust yourself if you need to, because you want that blanket or bolster or pillow to be right under those hips. You can take the hands out to the side of the body, or you can gently rest the hands on the belly or the heart. Just listen to the body. Play with your props until you feel yourself really sink into them. When we first start saying yes, when we first start using those regrets as the lessons and we start making different choices for us, it can be really scary at first because we're doing things that we've never done before. And that's when we remember, I'm the wolf, I'm not the sheep. And I can stalk out all of those things within me that are not in alignment with my highest and greatest good. And I can come up against my fears. Because what's even scarier to me is the looking back and seeing the regrets stacked up. Seeing all of the things that I did not choose to embody, the proof of my refusal to embody my truth. Because I felt scared of failure, because I was concerned about other people's opinions, or I was afraid of change, or I let those old dogmas or social programs pave the path for me. That's far more fearful to me. It's not really the stuff that we do that we regret later. It's the stuff we didn't do. So much of the stuff that we did, we can kind of look past it. You know, it's like, oh man, I was just having fun and being crazy. Some of the stuff that in the moment is the most challenging and the craziest, hardest stuff for us at the time becomes a funny story later. It just becomes a part of the fabric of our life, this, you know, little interval of something that we can actually turn into a funny story, because later we recognize how small the fear was that we forced ourselves to overcome to go into that experience. So coming up against the fears, remembering that I'm fierce and strong and full of fire, and allow the desire of the heart to burn brighter than the fear. My passion for life, my desire to accumulate the memories, the indelible experiences that my soul will take with me lifetime after lifetime. Where am I saying no? And where am I saying yes to life? What feels so good to me right now, the choices that I'm making, the embodiment that I'm exhibiting. Where am I coming up against my fear right now in this moment? Where am I saying yes to life? Drawing myself back into the physical sensations of my body, back into this conscious time and place just enough that I can change posture Inhale, draw the knees into the chest so that you can press that bolster or blanket or whatever it is out from underneath you. We're going to take our props to one side of the body. Now, what we're going to be doing here is we're going to lay on our back and release the knees to one side, coming into a form of a supine twist. So if you're not comfortable with the knees hanging, with a low prop, then make sure you're stacking those props as high as you need to. Put an extra pillow or whatever you need over there, so that when those knees are bent and you're relaxing those knees to the side, that the hips don't feel strained, but just relaxed in that twisting posture, okay? And even if you need a supportive pillow underneath the hip of the opposite leg from the direction that you're twisting the knees towards, then do that also. Just support the body in that twisted posture so that it doesn't feel like work, that you don't feel that strain, but you're just comfortably resting, supported into the posture, okay? Now, engaging in embodiment requires a form of discipline. It requires the discipline of self-awareness and making the conscious choices and taking the conscious actions that support the truth, that support the desire of the heart. So potentially, I ensure that I get to my yoga practice 3 or 4 times a week because I know it feeds my soul so much, opens up new perceptions and space for me. Now, I can never teach you anything, and I think it was Socrates that said, I can never teach you anything. All I can do is present you with new perceptions or give you the ability to question the things that happen in your life, right? So, we give ourselves the opportunity to learn and expand, to be presented with new possibilities, new ways of perceiving or experiencing the world. Perhaps, I'm taking care of my physical body very well to keep that environment for integration open and hospitable to the new information so that the embodiment can follow. The discipline can look different for everybody, and this is another one of those words that we typically associate with a negative feeling or thought. Discipline, it sounds very limiting in a lot of ways. The discipline is the investment that we make in ourselves. So the discipline of doing the thing that draws me towards the embodiment, that allows me to be embodying my truth. So what do those disciplines look like for me? And I can choose one of the 2 pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. So what is the discipline? What are the things? Maybe I just need to be in the discipline of saying yes more. Yes, this feels right. Be in the discipline of listening to my soul space, of listening to my intuition and acting only from that space. That is also a discipline, right? So what is the discipline that's necessary for me personally to embody my truth? What does that look like for me? What can I implement today? What investment can I make in myself today? You guys have already committed to this 40 days, which has been a huge discipline, opening up tremendous amounts of space for new integration, new embodiment opportunities. You guys have already been in agreement to so much right now. And right now we're still in a massive phase of integration, and the embodiment follows the integration. So right now we're just creating that safe space. So I'm super proud of you guys just for doing this, just for engaging in this form of discipline. It's huge, it's amazing, and it just shows how strong you are and how much you really want the beauty. Coming back to the breath, coming back to the physical body just enough so that we can take some of the props from the right or left side, whichever side your knees are shifted over towards. We're going to inhale, gently draw the knees back into the sky, resting the soles of the feet into the earth, and taking your props or your pillows to the opposite side. Really tuck them underneath the body if you need to here. And drop those knees the opposite direction. Really cradle and hug the body with those props, fully supporting you into that posture, and then taking those hands and arms wherever it is that feels the most comfortable and safe, and finding your breath. And sink into your props. Feel the body relax. And finding the breath. Don't let the things that are not going to matter an hour, 2 hours, 5 days, 5 years in the future to dictate your embodiment, your ability to embody your truth. Don't allow the menial things, the things that you have within you, the ability, the courage, the strength to overcome, dictate and limit your experience. Look for the opportunities to take risks, to take chances, and have fun. Go into those experiences not expecting the worst, but expecting the best. Seeking the treasure. Seeking the indelible moments. Being present enough in that moment to recognize them when they manifest, when they present themselves to you, so that you can fully saturate yourself in the experience. Allow it to become that indelible mark on your being, on your soul space. those rich experiences, that's what makes you wealthy. That's what makes you abundant. That's the stuff that matters. The starting point of all of that kind of achievement, all of that kind of spiritual wealth begins with the desire. The desire is the soul speaking to you what it needs to fulfill the truth of its being, to step into the truth of its embodiment, the expression of its own authentic vibratory emissions. So remembering to be more playful, looking at life with more playful eyes. Resist the need to be so serious. Serious, it's like a blindness. Just be a human being. What am I being? What am I in agreement to? Open your heart. It takes one single wild ember to awaken the wildfire within. Take a couple more deep breaths here into the nose and out to the mouth. On your next inhalation, lift those knees, pressing the soles of the feet back into the earth. Inhale and take one knee or both knees into the chest and roll up into a seated posture. You can take your bolster behind you if you want to here, just to kind of support you. And then we're going to take a couple pillows or one pillow, whatever feels comfy. We're going to lengthen through our legs. You can take your hands on top of your pillows. And if you need it even to be higher, take it as high as you need to. And rest one cheek down onto the pillows in a supported forward fold here. But make that as high as you want it to be so that it feels comfy and safe. Gently resting one cheek to the props. Take them as high as you need them to be. So that you can fully rest into that posture. When we're not letting our purpose direct us. And the purpose, I actually really don't often like this word. The purpose is not a specific thing. The purpose is only the embodiment, the pure expression of the integration of all of the things we've ever been and all of the things we have become and are becoming. When we don't let that soul space direct us, we're letting our fear direct us. So when we face our fears, we find our truth. What we're uncovering is our truth. And giving ourselves the opportunity to say yes. And fully live from that knowledge of our being. There's no need to explain or justify who and what we are. We simply embody it. The embodiment is the being, the human being, allowing ourselves to be, accepting and allowing what we find when we do the work of uncovering our truth. Stop watering yourself down. Stop saying no to the things that your heart is calling for. Start saying yes to those opportunities, experiences that you know are meant for you. Nostalgia is when I said yes, the memories, those indelible parts of our being. The regret is when I didn't act, when I took an action that was not in alignment with my truth. The fear is temporary. So press into it. Step into the discomfort of change. expansion and evolution. Forever relieving ourselves of a comfort zone. Comfort zone is not a comfort zone at all. It's just simply a place where nothing grows. Slowly and gently draw yourself back into your body, back into your breath, feeling the rise of the body on the inhalation. Drawing the navel to the spine on the exhale. Inhale and rise up away from the bolsters and take your props and place them in whatever position is going to be the most comfortable and safe for your final Shavasana posture. So that prone posture on the floor. If you like a bolster underneath your knees, a pillow underneath your head. If you want to pull your legs up, heels come towards the glutes and open the knees for butterfly posture. If you want something under your heart space to give you a little bit of a heart opener in that final Shavasana pose, just listen to your body and find the earth, the most supportive, prone, relaxed position possible. Oftentimes we mistake what a rich life looks like. We think a rich life looks like one of notable accomplishments and people accepting and approving of who and what I am. We think about all of the things that we did that people noticed and appreciated about us. The certificates, the money we made, the house we lived in, the cars we owned, all of those kinds of things are what we often mistake for a rich existence. But I really love what Kurt Vonnegut said. One time he was quoted as saying that he told his wife he was going out to buy an envelope. "Oh," she says, "we are not a poor man. Why don't you go online and buy 100 envelopes and put them in the closet?" And so I pretend not to hear her and go out to get an envelope because I'm going to have a hell of a good time in the process of buying one envelope. I meet a lot of people and see some great looking babies. And a fire engine goes by and I give them a thumbs up. And I'll ask a woman what kind of dog that is. And I don't know. The moral of the story is we're here on Earth to fart around. And of course, the computers will do us out of that. And what the computer people don't realize or that they don't care is we're dancing animals. We love to move around. And it's like we're not supposed to dance at all anymore. Let's all get up and move around a bit right now, or at least dance. The richness is the dance. The moving around. The experiences. That is what creates the richness in the fabric of the life. to say yes. Nothing is mundane. Everything is magic. Where can I dance? Where can I say yes to the experience? Not looking at things as an imposition, being too lazy to go out and do, but to be engaged, to go on the treasure hunt, to say yes to life. I want to dance, and I want you guys to dance with me, to move to the beat of our own drum. We don't have to look good doing it, we just have to do it. Doesn't matter what other people think about how it looks, how crazy we might seem to be dancing to the music that they cannot hear. Because at the end of my days, I am the one who has to live with the consequences. I am the one who has to live with the regrets of not living in my truth, of not saying yes, and not being willing to engage in the creation of the rich fabric of my own existence. Nobody else, just me. I come into this embodiment, transform into this energetic time and space all by myself, and I'm going to transition out of it the same way, alone with the indelible memories. What did I create? What was I willing to risk? What did I invest in that gave me the richness, the fullness, the wealth of my own spirit? Slowly and gently moving the body, reminding myself that I'm back in this time, in this space, in this plane of existence by gently wiggling the fingers or toes, wrapping the hands around the wrists or the feet around the ankles. Coming back to the breath, taking the bridge from the spirit back to the physical body, reawakening all of those aspects of my being, allowing that ember, that wild ember to burn within me, to create that wildfire that completely eradicates all of the bullshit that's not in alignment with the truth of my being. Let it burn. Slowly and gently coming back to a comfortable seated posture by rocking and rolling upward, rolling over onto my right side in a fetal position for a moment or two. A couple more breaths. Taking any stretches or any postures that you might need to facilitate the fullness of movement. Committing to the investment of your own being. Advocating for yourself. Press into the palm of the left hand whenever you're ready, if you're in that fetal position, drawing yourself upright into a comfortable seated posture. Taking the thumbs into the heart center, hands in prayer pose. Finishing today with 3 long satnams. I am truth. Truth is my name. Truth is my identity, and I choose to embody that truth. Inhale deeply. Exhale completely. Inhale to begin. Satnam. Satnam. Namaste. I see the beauty, the authentic light that you emit, that you express through your being. All of the things that you're already saying yes to that you don't even realize, that allows you to vibrate with the beautiful space that you are. I really am grateful for each and every one of you. I am so grateful to be able to share, these ideals with you guys, and just to create the depth of connection that we are, regardless of whether we're together or not. We are, you know, doing this thing together. We are in this together. We are creating a new energetic shift, a new vibrational space, opening up the possibility, the potential for permission for other people to engage within that same vibrational capacity, to give them the inspiration and the hope to recognize that there's so much more, not being blinded by the seriousness and our ability to get caught up in the old bullshit, but to really fully open our eyes and experience the truth of this time and space and the magic that exists within it.